Our page is taking shape. Let's now add a footer. We got a header and a navigation bar. We also want a footer. For that, you will again find an HTML file attached to this video, which contains the code we have to add. We add it below the main section, but before we close the body. And this simply adds the footer element with a navigation inside of it that holds an unordered list of the links. The links lead nowhere, but hey, it's only there to build a nice UI. So we got our footer. Now the goal is to style it. And if we have a look at our header, we assigned main header as a class. Therefore, to this footer, I will assign main footer. Because for the same reason as with the header, we could use a footer in other places of our app too. So directly targeting the footer is something that would work in this app, but might not work in other apps. And we're always safe if we add such a class, because if we ever add another footer element anywhere on our page, we will not use any code we wrote previously, which we then have to refactor. We simply write code that will not break the future right from the start. So I added that main footer class, and with that in the main.css file, we can start styling. I'll now add this below the main header because it's like a general style which we will share across pages eventually, and below the header because it's at the bottom of the page. And I will target that main footer class with that class selector. Now, let's first of all save both files and reload. This is what the footer looks like right now. We can work on that. And to work on that, I'll start by adding a background color. I'll set it to black and a text color of white. If we do that and reload, we get the black background. We got some space around it, so some margin by a child element probably. We can confirm this by inspecting that, and we see the unordered list has a top and bottom margin, which due to margin collapsing is merged with the parent element margin because it's the first and last, or the only child in this case. And therefore, we need to work on that margin. We need to work on that list in general. And the white color isn't applied, well, because, keep in mind, the white color is set on that footer here. The text lives in our anchor text, though. If we inspect these, well, they inherit this setup, of course. But as you learned many times before, inheritance is overwritten by directly assigned styles. And there is a directly assigned style, this color, the browser default, which is in turn then the blue color. So this is something we have to override explicitly. So setting it here on the main footer element actually doesn't do anything. Well, what we can do here though is we can add some padding, maybe 32 pixels, and some space to the top, maybe margin top of, let's say, 48 pixels. And if you're wondering how I come up with these values, I basically always or often take multiples of the default font size of the browser, which is 16 pixels. But again, you will learn more about that in the dimensions and units module of this course, where we will dive deeper into the different values you can assign. That's just a side note here. So margin top, 48 pixels on the main footer. Now I want to select the unordered list in the main footer. And for that, we of course can assign classes there. We could also use combinators, of course. And for a practice that might be worth doing it, I'll add some classes here though. I'll name this one here main footer links. And then my list item here gets a class main footer link. The actual link is the anchor tag, but the list item holds that. So basically it constructs the link, you could say. And now back to main.css, I'll add main footer links, which targets the unordered list, to set the list style to none and the margin to 0, the padding to 0. We did that multiple times before. And also set text align to center, because if we save that now and we reload, we see now the text is still blue, but centered in the middle already. Now let's work on that text color then and on the general look and behavior of these links. And for that, I'll target main footer link. So that's the other class we assigned. And here I'll set it to display inline block to make sure that the list items on which this class is added are sitting in the same line. And I'll add a margin of 0 to top and bottom, but I want to have some distance between the list items, which are in the same line due to inline block. So margin left and right could be 16 pixels. If we save that and reload, then we see they're now in the same line with some space in between. Last thing is I want to change the look of the text, and that's the anchor tag as you learned. So now let's use main footer link and then the descendant or direct child combinator to select the anchor tag itself. And there I can set the color to white and the text decoration to none to remove the link. And here's main footer anchor tag hover and main footer anchor tag active. And of course I meant main footer link, though main footer with the descendant operator would have worked too, because there only is one link in the entire footer. So one set of links, I should say, and they should get this style. But this is the more precise and performant way of selecting these. And now we can set some styles for when we hover over these links. Maybe a light gray. CCC gives us such a light gray look. Let's try it out. Let's reload. Yeah, there's a slight change if we hover over them, and that's a nice looking footer in my opinion. And with that, the first version of our starting page is done. Now let's analyze what we did and what we can do as a next step thereafter.